Okay, you guys. I can't stop thinking about the film's central mystery, the ghost that haunts every frame without ever truly being there. Celine. On the surface, she's the mentor, but the more I analyze her actions, the more I'm convinced she's the most psychologically damaging person in Rumi's life. Today, we're breaking down whether Celine is a hero who sacrificed everything or a tragic villain who spent years systematically destroying Rumi's self-worth. And I have to warn you, this analysis gets pretty dark. Let's start with the evidence for Celine being a hero. When Rumi was born and her demon hunter mother died, Celine made a promise to protect what her former teammate left behind. She could have easily killed baby Rumi since she was part demon, but instead, she chose compassion. More than that, Celine was likely the strategic mind behind their entire operation. Faced with a rising demon threat, she probably championed the great rebranding, the radical idea to hide their ancient shamanic rituals within the global appeal of K-pop. This wasn't just a clever marketing move, it was likely a survival tactic rooted in history. For centuries, from the Joseon dynasty to the Japanese colonial period, real Korean shamans, the Mudong, were systematically persecuted and driven to the lowest social class. Hiding their sacred traditions in plain sight as entertainment would have been a revolutionary act of preservation. She provided them with training, resources, and guidance that kept them alive, and she deserves credit for that. But here's where things get really complicated. Instead of teaching Rumi to embrace her dual heritage, Celine spent Rumi's entire childhood drilling into her that her demon side was something shameful that needed to be hidden and eventually eliminated. She taught Rumi to cover up her demon marks, to see those patterns as a source of disgrace, and to believe that the only way she could ever be truly worthy is if the golden Han moon erased that part of her forever. This isn't protection. This is psychological manipulation that created the self-hatred that nearly destroyed Rumi.
And the deeper I dig, the more I realize Celine's shame-based parenting caused most of Rumi's problems. Rumi's voice issues weren't random. They were a psychosomatic symptom of the corrosive self-doubt that Celine had planted in her for years. And what's so telling is how her healing began. The first time Rumi is able to sing properly again isn't through Celine's methods, but during the duet Free with Jinu, the one person who saw her demon side and offered acceptance instead of shame. It was his validation that unlocked her voice. And when Rumi finally embraces her demon marks completely, her voice becomes stronger than ever, proving Celine's entire approach was not only wrong, but actively harmful. But what really convinced me that Celine crosses the line from flawed parent to genuinely damaging figure is her behavior during Rumi's lowest moment. When Rumi is publicly humiliated and comes to Celine broken and desperate, literally begging to be killed, Celine still refuses to offer the acceptance that Rumi desperately needs. Instead, she offers to cover up the situation again, which is the same toxic pattern that got them into this mess. The fact that she couldn't even look at Rumi tells me everything about how Celine really feels about demons, even when one of them is her own daughter. And here's what really gets me about her character. She's described as being haunted by the shame of her decisions. To understand the depth of this feeling, we need to look at the powerful Korean concept of Han. Han isn't just guilt or trauma. One theologian famously defined it as a feeling of unresolved resentment against injustices suffered, an obstinate urge to take revenge and to right the wrong. Celine is carrying the Han of her best friend's death, and on some level she knows she messed up. This has led some fans to speculate on an even darker possibility, one grounded in a fascinating piece of production insight. We know from behind-the-scenes information that early concept art for the film actually depicted a scene where Celine herself killed Rumi's mother. While this was cut, its existence suggests the creators were exploring a much more sinister and tragic dimension to her character, and that her guilt isn't just about failing to protect her friend, but perhaps about being directly involved in her death.
This makes her more tragic than purely villainous, but also more dangerous, because her inability to process her Han means she keeps perpetuating the same cycle of shame that's destroying the person she claims to love most. This ideological failure is confirmed in the film's climax. Celine's entire life's work was aimed at creating the Golden Han Moon, a symbol of purity and the erasure of flaws. But Rumi's final song is a powerful anthem about finding beauty in the broken glass. She rejects Celine's doctrine of perfection completely and instead forges the Blue Han Moon, a shield built not on purity, but on the unity and acceptance of flawed, complex individuals. It is the ultimate refutation of Celine's entire worldview. The truth is, Celine is one of the most psychologically interesting characters in the entire movie. She saved Rumi's life, but damaged her soul, showing how good intentions can cause incredible harm when they're filtered through unexamined biases and unresolved trauma. So let me know in the comments where you stand on Celine's character. Do you think she's ultimately a hero who did her best, or a villain who psychologically abused her adopted daughter? And what do you think needs to happen between them in a potential sequel for any kind of healing to occur? This analysis has me even more convinced that K-pop Demon Hunters is way deeper than people give it credit for. So if you want more breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button.